Hello and welcome to the first episode of Behind the Pitch podcast. My name is Radhika Khemka, President McCormick Consulting, and we bring to you the first episode with Mr. Barry Leahey. Mr. Leahey is one of the most distinguished professionals that I've come across. He is the Managing Director of Playdale Playgrounds Limited and the recipient of one of the most prestigious awards in the UK, the MBE. He's 42 under 42 as per Business Insider and one of the most prominent entrepreneur in residence at Lancaster University. Enough of my pitch about Mr. Barry Leahey. Let's go and know the actual story behind the pitch. Welcome and hello, Mr. Barry Leahey. Thank you so much for being on the first episode of Behind the Pitch podcast. We are more than just grateful to have you here.
Thank you. And thank you very much for asking me. It's a great honour.
Yes. So before we begin, we're really interested to know what you've been working on lately. Is there something that you're excited about, looking forward to in the coming weeks?
Yeah, well, we've been working on something huge, especially at Playdale, where obviously I'm president. We've recently gone through an investment process, and we've took huge investment from the USA and investment bankers from San Francisco, which allows us to turbocharge the business really, and we're already in 51 countries, and there's a lot of strategy sessions going on currently on how we're going to dominate the world with playground equipment.
Oh, that's lovely. Do you want to tell us more in detail about how Playdale started and what it's currently doing?
Yeah, so Playdale's actually a 9th generation family business, and I was the first individual brought in to run the business that wasn't part of the family. So they were looking to make that next step, that entrepreneurial edge they were looking for. It had always drifted along nicely, making items out of wood or steel, and started making playground equipment in 1978, but only ever operated in the UK. And they asked me, due to my background in leisure and growing and scaling businesses, to come in and see what we could do. And we trebled the size of the business in the UK. And then we set off on growing it internationally. And only 12 years ago, we were only in the UK as a market. And now, like I say, we're in 51 countries. So we manufacture outdoor children's playground equipment. We design it, we build it all in the UK. And we're the premium manufacturer.
I'm sure. And congratulations on that round of funding that you're working towards. Hope that gets through.
It's through, it's signed. We've done the dotted line, which is why I look so tired.
Oh, then it's a good week that's been for you, successful pretty much.
Very good.
We were talking about how Playdale is a 9th-generation family-run business. And I would want to know the challenges that you faced as a first-time comer from the outside.
Yeah.
And how was your experience on that?
Well, first of all, it was the acceptance of somebody new coming along and making sure I understood who everybody was and what was their motivations and what their vision was. And then it was to make sure that I provided them a vision that everyone could understand and coordinate with. And we quickly established, values and visions and missions that we wanted to achieve at Playdale, and then plans and strategy to align with that. The challenge is being with, that's an awful lot of change, and people don't tend to like change. And I think just getting people on board to that journey has been the biggest opportunity, challenge, issue, however you want to describe it, but it's mainly around people. The machinery does what we want it to do every time. It's making sure the people are aligned.
I also was interested about your school life, because I was reading up and you were very good in sports starting up. So was this part of the plan that, someday there'll be an entrepreneurship that you will be wanting to take up? So was this part of the plan somewhere from your childhood?
Yeah, from a very, very early age, I knew I wanted to be different. I wanted to have more, and I come from a very, very basic background, very, very working class background in the UK, but with high morals, with a family that had very, very high morals, and that those morals are around, doing things the right way and also applying yourself and working hard. And I saw that through my parents, and I think that then went, it passes to myself, and I knew I had to outperform individuals. I'd sit there and count how many people were ahead of me in a classroom, because I knew at the time only 10% of all students went to university. So I'd make sure I was in the top 10% of every class. I knew I wanted to create. I knew I wanted to be able to then provide for family and others, and help and develop others. So sport did a lot for me. I was extremely shy as a child, extremely shy, not very confident at all. And I think sport gave me that competitive edge, or allowed me to find myself. And I became a workaholic from a very early age. So from about the age of 7, I used to go out running in the evenings with my parents and stuff. And that would get quite obsessive, and I'd be out running 12 times a week at times, every evening and every night, and have a day off. And that, with all that practice, that 10,000 hours, and I'm a big believer in this 10,000 hours, and you become world class. If you do anything for 10,000 hours, you can become world class. And that's why, you'll see young violinists age 9, but they've been doing it since, they were 2. And Tiger Woods, there's lots of videos of him, isn't there, firing golf balls, when he could, barely old enough to stand. And I guess that's what I was like, that what was being driven into me was this work ethic. If I wanted to be a good athlete, I had to work hard. So through all my development years, I was already doing 80, 70, 80 hours a week with school, with jobs, with sport. And yeah, it caused a huge part of my life, really, of just driving in that work ethic of, I want to be better.
There was one part where you mentioned about you being shy and introvert. We've always heard across that entrepreneurs who want to make it, make an impact, they have to put themselves out there and go out. Do you think that personality trait of yours has only evolved, or did that help you?
I've known from a very early age that I've got to step outside my comfort zone, and I describe it as an elastic band. Okay, if you take that elastic band and you stretch it a little bit, it returns, but it returns slightly bigger than it was originally. And I think I've done that for 25 years. Yeah, so my comfort zone is quite big. However, I can still honestly say, if I walk into a room of crowded people, I'm the shyest individual in that room.
Do you say that? Do you feel that even today?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I do. And it's not my natural trait. And if I do psychometrics, it's not my natural trait. Social will always score very low. However, I'll stand up and speak to 600 people. I'll go to 3 or 4 evening dinners every week. I go to networking events all the time. I put myself out there, because the more you are uncomfortable, you become comfortable with it. Yeah. And that goes with everything. You might be extremely comfortable in doing some things for social, but you might be uncomfortable with numbers. But the more you work at your numbers, the more you'll become comfortable at it. Doesn't mean you'll ever love it. Yeah. And there's different aspects to different people, and everyone's different. And I just know that's one of my challenges that I'll probably have for the rest of my life.
Yeah, so it's basically those 10,000 hours rule that applies. Keep doing it if you're
keep
uncomfortable
doing it.
about it.
Exactly. I've gone to 2 or 3 social events every week for the last 25 years. There's a few hours I've put in there.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm a lot more comfortable than I was when I started.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot for somebody as accomplished as you to say that there's still more that you have to do. I think that in itself is a very huge thing to take away.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of things I could work on.
We've heard of so much of the recognition and the awards you've received, and Playdale's received. I want to know what goes behind the scenes and what happens really in the playground, where you say that you've defeated that challenge or you've actually overcome that. Is there something very significant that you think that you've overcome and other people might not have, probably done that in your competition, if there was?
Yeah. No, Playdale is a business. Playdale, when I took over the leadership of Playdale, wasn't in a great financial situation. And people on the external, will see awards and will see all the hype around Playdale, but they won't know what the bottom line was saying. And like you said, we've grown it, and we've grown it by 30% year on year. But that's been a tough challenge. That creates a lot of stress, and the competition may not see the stress of where we were at the beginning. What it does create, it onwardly creates stress, because we all we know what the art of the possible is now, and we've got a great journey mapped out ahead of us, and what we need to achieve to get there. But at the very beginning, it was really stressful, and people wouldn't know what was happening, behind there. But yeah, we're well through that. But like I say, it's the next challenge is to find that next bit of growth, and it becomes quite addictive, does growth. And
because once you've tasted blood.
Exactly, the entrepreneurs out there will understand that once you've made it, you want to replicate it, and we've got to go again, and we've got to go again, and we've got to go again, and that's easy to say, but to find that growth is at times can be hard, and you've got to make mistakes, and you've got to keep trying.
Is there a significant mistake that you've learned a lot from, and you probably want to share about it?
Listen, I've made thousands of mistakes, all right, and some are well documented, like using a soup as a finger bowl in South Korea, but they're fun mistakes to make, okay? Yeah, I've pushed people too hard. I've treated people in the way that I would work, and you've got to understand about people and what makes them tick. And taking a textbook or reading it in a book at night isn't always the way to apply it. And I think I've at times applied it to the letter of the book. And I think you've got to step back and look at situations. And if there were several situations with individuals over the years, would I do it the same way? No, I wouldn't. I'd approach it in a different way, and I'd coax them in a different way. And yeah, even my daughter will pick me up, and she's 7, and she'll say, "Daddy, you shouldn't really say that to me, and this is how it made me feel." And that makes it real for me, because she's very naive and is very transparent. Adults in business at times aren't transparent. Yeah, and they bottle it up. So that makes me think, actually, what does that individual really want to say to me? And I think I take that into business a bit more now than I would have done 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
As my final question, what would be your message to students? Because we're in Lancaster University, and there are a lot of people who are very passionate and inspired about their futures and things that they want to do. They want to make an impact out there. Some are certain about what they want to do, some probably not. And you've been an outperformer and an overachiever during your student days too. What would be your message to the students out there?
Okay, it doesn't end when university does.
Yeah.
That's when it just starts. And you need to be, the closer to the front you can be, the better. So when you're at university, yeah, have a great time. I had an amazing time. I've been lucky enough to attend 4 different universities and had fantastic time at them all. And I do a lot of work at Lancaster, and I know what a great place it can be. But there's a serious edge to it, and don't forget, it's a competitive world out there. And when that starting gun fires, I know if I was a student again, I'd want to be closer to the front to get away fast. But once you are away, you've got to keep feeding that machine. You've got to, it's like the nutrients, and I often use the sport, the education and the developments, the nutrients you put in your body. You've got to be healthy, you've got to be able to move at a pace. And yes, we have some amazing generations coming through university now, and we talk about, how we're going to do things that's right for the planet and right for themselves, and they want to, and I get all of that, and I really do, and I think it's fantastic. But don't forget, it's a competitive world out there, and you've just got to, if you've got that real desire to be successful, then the only way you're going to get to be successful is outperform the rest of the competition.
Mr. Barry, thank you. That was my set of questions. Thank you so much again for your time. We had a lovely conversation, and I'm only thankful to have you on the first episode of Behind the Pitch. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you.
So this was the first episode of Behind the Pitch, where we actually roll the curtains behind the successful stories and find out about the learnings, mistakes, and struggles that entrepreneurs face in their life. We're going to be shooting a lot more with famous entrepreneurs coming across, and tune in to watch this space for more.